Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for Wlbt Plus. My name is Kara Shirley, your digital news desk host. It is Tuesday, the 29th of April, and we have some big news for you. I'm sure you probably have already seen a bit of it, know the information, or know that there has been an arrest made in a nearly 4-decade-old cold case, and the arrest was made in Scott County this morning. We're going to get to that in just a moment and tell you the details and the information about that. But first, we do want to say thank you so much for joining us. If you're watching on our website or through our mobile app, we appreciate you so much. And if you are tuning in on our social streams, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, any of those, thank you so much for joining us there. Don't forget, you can always leave a comment, a question, a thought, a suggestion, anything in the comment section there. And if you are tuning in on our social streams, let me know where you're watching from, because we do have people tuning in from literally all over. So let's go ahead and jump into the news, into the arrest that was made. So for the first time in nearly 4 decades, since 17-year-old Chandra Mays was kidnapped in Scott County, sheriff's deputies have made an arrest in her abduction and in her death. Three on your sides, Wilson Striblin was live there just a little while ago at the sheriff's department in Forest with some details on what happened this morning, as well as some video of the arrest actually being made. And so what we're going to play for you right now is the clip of Wilson when he was live earlier this morning. He'll be able to give you the details. So here we go. Let's take it to Wilson.
So about 9:30 this morning, Scott County Sheriff Mike Lee led a caravan of law enforcement vehicles into an RV park in Madison County where Reuben Weeks had been living. Weeks is 63 and not in the best of health, but the sheriff says he had gone fishing just yesterday. Regardless, Weeks said he needed a wheelchair to get to the squad car. The sheriff put him in handcuffs and said he was being charged with the kidnapping, rape, and murder of 17-year-old Chandra May. It was way back in February of 1986 that she was abducted on her way home after working her shift at the McDonald's in Forest. 3 weeks later, on what would have been her 18th birthday, her body was found in a creek near Bolton. She was nude. Her body had been bound with tape. No one has ever been charged in her death until today. Reuben Weeks has been questioned before, in part because he confessed to doing nearly the same thing to a woman in Missouri back in 1991. He abducted the young clerk at the motel where he and his family were staying, raped her, and tied her up with tape. She survived, testified against him, and he was sent to prison for life until he was paroled and came back to Mississippi. Again, that was all after Chandra May's death. Sheriff Mike Lee says he's been determined to solve this case, and working with some retired investigators, his own team, and other agencies, he's confident they now have a strong case. There is still lots to come with this story, and after all these years, of course, Three on Your Side will continue to follow it. But again, Reuben Weeks being held here at the Scott County Jail, charged in the death of Chandra May 39 years ago. Live in Forest, I'm Wilson Stribling. Ashley, back to you. Say about 9:30.
Of course, that was played during our 12 o'clock show today, but that showed the man being arrested. Again, his name is Reuben Weeks. He was 63 years old, or he is 63 years old, and he was arrested today for the murder of Chandra May. Again, as Wilson stated, she was 17 years old. She was a senior at Leak Academy when she disappeared after her shift at McDonald's back in 1986. Her body was found nearly 3 weeks later, and sadly enough, it was found on her 18th birthday. Autopsy did later reveal that she had been sexually assaulted, and it had been almost 40 years that her case has gone unsolved. No arrests had been made in it. We've been following it since then, and we will continue to follow this. As a matter of fact, we talked to Scott County Sheriff last year, Mike Lee, and at that time he told us that it was the closest investigators had ever been to solving the case. So there's going to be more information brought to you on this. You can tune into our newscast tonight or download our mobile app. And as we get that new information in, we will send out alerts to you, or you can just open up the app and read the stories there for yourself. But tune into our newscast tonight. Wilson will have more for you. And again, as he said, we here at Three on Your Side are going to continue to follow this all the way through. We will follow if he ends up going to trial, or if he takes if there's a plea deal, anything that is made, anything that happens, we're going to continue to follow it, and we are going to bring you the latest information. Again, though, the Chandra May, age 17, when she went disappeared back in 1986. An arrest has been made in her abduction and in her murder. 63-year-old Reuben Weeks was arrested this morning for her abduction and her murder, and we're going to continue to follow that case for you. Again, wlbt.com or our news app is where you can go to read the latest information on that as more information comes in. So very exciting. Exciting is a very weird word to use for it, but I know for the family of Chandra, who have been wanting closure, and people who have been following this case and all of these decades, almost 4 decades, I know that it is a happy day to get an arrest made in this case when there has been no arrest made over the past 4 decades. So with that in itself, it makes it a happy day. The situation as to why it is happening, though, is still very tragic. We're going to continue to follow that here for you at WLBT. And there was, coming back here to Jackson, there was a shooting that happened this morning at a Jackson apartment complex. It was at the Chapel Ridge apartment complex. The call came in around 11 o'clock this morning, according to Precinct 1 Captain William Kendrick. We were told that there were 2 individuals who got into an altercation. Shots were fired. One person did receive a non-life-threatening gunshot wound to the lower extremities, and that victim was taken to the hospital by ambulance. They do have one person of interest in custody, and of course, investigators are still working to get more information on this. Again, this shooting happened around 11 o'clock this morning, or at least that's when the call came in, around 11 o'clock this morning at Chapel Ridge Apartments. I'm going to show you where Chapel Ridge Apartments is and pull the map up for you. So here in the center of your screen is where the apartment complex is located. We have Raymond Road right here, and Robinson Road right here beside it. If we zoom out, you can see where it is in relation to downtown Jackson. So, of course, Jackson being over here, the red box, and then this little yellow triangle on the left side of your screen is Chapel Ridge Apartments. That's where the shooting took place. That's where the call came in to, again, one person did receive a non-life-threatening gunshot wound to their lower extremities, and they were taken to the hospital, and there is one person of interest in custody. So we will, as we get more information, we will pass that along to you. And let's give you a follow-up on the shooting that happened outside or near Jim Hill School yesterday. So police are still investigating after multiple shots were fired towards Jim Hill School on a Monday afternoon. Jackson Police Chief Joseph Wade tells Three on Your Side that the altercation started actually inside of the school between multiple people. When those individuals went to leave the school grounds, shots were fired towards the main entrance. That's when the school was placed on that lockdown. It was placed on a temporary lockdown. And in the video that we have playing for you right now of the scene, you can see dozens of parents waiting outside, wanting to get their children, obviously distraught and very upset over this happening. Now, there were multiple shell casings casings that were recovered by investigators, and police do have people of interest in this case. We did speak with one of the parents that was waiting there, and here's what she had to say.
It's all ridiculous and it's not safe. I mean, there are other kids here. It's so many parents worried about their kids. This is not safe for anywhere, all over the world. And it's sad because in other places, the children are losing their life, and the very same thing could have very well happened here today. So I'm just glad that the police got it under control.
So again, thankfully, no one was injured because of this shooting. And Jackson Public School Police are leading the investigation, and they are being assisted by Jackson Police Department as well as Capitol Police. Now, looking here at the our chats here, we have Lisa Johnson saying, I'm so glad that Tim can have some semblance of closure. Lisa is speaking about the arrest made in the Chandra Mays case. Pat Brown said that he's glad that he was found. And then Janie Chipley saying, I am so glad they finally got him. He had lived 39 years free because of the law, and that day didn't step up and arrest him. I hope that they don't let him plead down. He has gotten by with this for years. So there was there's a lot of comments on that. A lot of people very, very happy about the arrest that was made again in Chandra May's case. Chandra May, again, was abducted and killed nearly 4 decades ago, and an arrest was made in that case this morning. 63-year-old Reuben Weeks was arrested in that case. Very thankful for that. Then sadly, if we come back here to Jackson, there was another shooting that happened early this morning. So according to the Jackson Police Department, a man told police that he had heard gunshots on Capitol Street. Let me turn this down for you guys. So he had heard gunshots on Capitol Street and then discovered that he had actually been shot twice in the leg. The victim walked to the Jackson VA home on Lindbergh Drive to receive treatment. That's when officers responded to the scene shortly after 4 a.m. on this morning. The man's identity has not been released. It is believed at this time that he was a bystander to the shooting that happened. We haven't had any suspects identified at this time, but if they are, we will certainly pass that information along to you. Again, the man said that the gunshots happened, or he heard the gunshots on Capitol Street. So if you were in that area sometime before 4 a.m. and if you heard anything, saw anything, if you happen to have any kind of security footage where you may have captured something, please pass that along to the police department, to Jackson Police Department, so that hopefully they can find out what happened in this case. And we first told you about 2 former Pearl police officers that were found liable in a federal civil case for violating a man's constitutional rights. Now we're learning that those same officers are still working at different agencies. So Friday, a federal jury ordered Jonathan Welker and Jacob Lang to pay $90,000 altogether after they beat a Rankin County resident while he was in their custody. Jimmy Anthony filed the complaint saying that he was arrested at his home in 2022 for domestic violence. He then claimed he was assaulted by several Pearl officers, including Welker and Lang. Neither of those officers have been criminally charged. So we're starting to dig to see, we started digging to see if they still worked in law enforcement, and we found both of them. So records obtained by 3 on Your Side show that Capitol Police hired Welker in April of 2024. And several social media postings we found indicate Flora's police department hired Lang in August of last year. DPS spokesperson Bailey Martin said the agency is gathering additional information and will take appropriate action, but she stopped short of saying Welker had been suspended suspended or placed on leave. So an officer with the Flora Police Department did confirm that Lang still works for the agency and referred us to the chief when we started asking about the verdict having any type of effect on his job. We're going to continue to follow this case and we'll bring you updates as we receive them. And an illegal immigrant has been sentenced after being accused of raping a woman at a local restaurant. So the Madison and Rankin Counties District Attorney's Office say that 37-year-old Jose Rigo Meja Cubias, and I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I apologize, but this is him on your screen. He pled guilty to one count of sexual battery in court yesterday. So he was sentenced to serve 25 years in prison without the possibility of early release or parole. This comes after a female reported that she had been sexually assaulted at Fernando's on January the 30th. So he was indicted February the 3rd for sexual battery of a physically helpless person, and he is also an illegal immigrant from El Salvador. He's still facing pending charges for illegally entering the U.S. He was previously deported back in 2010. Not sure when he came back into the United States. But he has now been sentenced to serve 25 years in prison without the possibility of parole or the possibility of early release for the sexual assault that occurred on the 30th of January. And despite some objections from Hinds County, federal officials are slated to get their first view of the Raymond Detention Center in several years. According to court records, a monitoring team representing the federal receiver put in charge of the jail is expected to visit the facility sometime today. That may have actually even already happened, but we do know that that visit was supposed to happen today. So it was scheduled months ago, and it does come less than 1 week after a detainee there was found dead in his cell. We will let you know the outcome of that visit when we receive the information. And we are continuing to follow the deadly shooting that happened last Thursday in Richland, where one man was killed after a standoff with police. We now know the name of the officer that was injured, and we also spoke with someone who says that he witnessed the chaos. So this all happened on Highway 49 in Richland, and according to police, 77-year-old Abdullah Cheaton was pulled over for a traffic stop. Officers then tried to search his RV that he was pulled over in. That's when he barricaded himself inside and began shooting at officers, leading to a shootout between him and Richland police, which did eventually wind up in the killing of Cheaton. Jeremy Williams doesn't work far from where this happened, and he's still in shock from being so close to something that was so intense and tragic. Here's what Jeremy had to say.
To have something that close, that crazy happen to you that close was that I've never been a part of anything like that in my life. That was chaos, and it was crazy. When you get ready to go home, you don't expect that. But when I came outside and saw that police officer on top of that car with a sniper, you used to seeing that in the movies. You don't see that in real life a lot.
So Williams says that he was close enough to where he feels he could have been hit by a stray bullet, and he's grateful that that is not the case, as are we. So the police officer that was injured in that, his name is Wesley Skinner. He is a narcotics investigator with the Richland Police Department. He is still recovering after what the witness called a crazy and chaotic scene. And of course, the Mississippi Bureau of Investigations is handling this ongoing investigation, and we are looking to get more information on it as well here, and we will bring that to you as soon as we have it for you. So before we jump into any other news or even look at our forecast, what we can expect over the next few days, let's hear from our sponsors over at Jackson Water. Stick with me.
Time for a neighborly tip from Jackson Water. Is it okay to pour fats, oils, and greases down the drain if I run hot water?
No!
What if I run the garbage disposal?
No!
How about if I use dish soap at the same time?
No!
Instead, hang hang on to a few containers to store and toss old cooking fat and grease once you're done. Jackson Water. Water for all the time.
And again, thanks to Jackson Water for sponsoring WLBT Plus, making it possible for us to bring you this show every weekday at 1 o'clock, as well as some extra content that we're bringing. We've been talking to a lot of local TikTok, I guess, stars, if you want to call them, local TikTokers who have gotten a very large following. We spoke with Brady Hightower, who is a comedian and pretty big on social media. I jokingly called him the unofficial reviewer of Jackson potholes, but we got to speak with him. We also spoke with true crime mama Sally Malley, and we spoke with her last Friday. She has over 500,000 followers on TikTok, and we're going to be speaking with another TikToker this coming Friday. Some of the new content, a little bit different type of content for you that we're looking to bring. But we're speaking with a TikToker by the name of Papa Mississippi. If you don't know him, look him up. He's what I would classify as he and I both agreed on this classification, as a Mississippi historian and advocate for Mississippi. So you want to follow him. Again, it's Papa Mississippi on TikTok, but we're going to have him on with us later in the week. Very excited about that. I love his content. I love getting to watch his videos, and he's taught me a thing or two about Mississippi, stuff I did not know about. Let's go ahead and look at our forecast and very abbreviated version of the forecast. First, let's look outside. Over our sky cam, we're going to be looking over Richland right now. Looks like our camera is buffering just a little bit, but the skies are blue, no clouds really in the sky, very few clouds. Let's pull up another one. Let's look at our the Vicksburg Riverwalk camera and see how high the Mississippi River still is. It crested yesterday. We're going to be talking about that in just a moment. But let's look at our current temperatures outside right now. So we are sitting in the mid 80s pretty much across the board. And if we look at our radar, you can see where we don't have any rain in the area, and we're not really expecting any, actually not expecting any at all over the next 12 hours, dropping down into the lower 70s as we get into the overnight hours. Now, our next 7 days, especially Thursday and Friday, we are expecting an increase in those rain showers, possibility of some scattered storms on Thursday, and our temperatures are going to stay about the same throughout the rest of this week going into next week. But you want to make sure you're here at 2:30 today with our First Alert weather team. They are going to be here to give you the better details, more exact details on the forecast and what we can expect on Thursday and Friday, if we should be looking out for any type of severe weather or anything like that. First Alert weather team is going to be here 2:30 today to give you that information. So the Mississippi River in Vicksburg has crested, and the city leaders over in Vicksburg are continuing to monitor it. So it crested yesterday at a foot higher than was originally predicted. Safety measures, thankfully, are still in place to help keep you safe. So as of Monday, it crested at 49.5 feet. You can see that there on your screen. So it's a foot higher than the forecasted prediction on Sunday, according to the Mississippi Levee Board. So far, Mayor George Flagg says residents in the Kings and Chickasaw areas have evacuated. Other than that, the rest of Vicksburg is not expected to see any type of significant flooding, and that's because of the flood walls that are keeping the water inside. Signs and emergency cones have been placed around the riverfront, letting visitors and citizens know it is temporarily closed for their safety. So continuous rainfall that has happened in the Ohio Valley and parts of Kentucky is the reason why the Mississippi River levels are rising.
Well, safety is always a priority, especially when you're dealing with water, because you can always ease into the water. You can do a lot of things with water. Water, one of the most powerful force that we have on Earth. But more important than that, we have to save lives, and we have to mitigate those type of lives and things.
So, leaders with the Mississippi Levee Board predict this to be the last crest for the spring, and water levels are expected to go down over the next few days. Our meteorologists, and of course, us here at WLBT, will continue to watch that. And some exciting news happening down on the coast with Amtrak. There is an official name for the Amtrak rail service that is returning to the Gulf Coast, and it is called the Mardi Gras service, which I love. I think that is awesome. So Amtrak announced the name last week, and it's going to be offering a long distance train from Dallas, Fort Worth to Meridian. The Mardi Gras track, I'm sorry, the Mardi Gras track is going to run from New Orleans through South Mississippi and over to Meridian, and will also offer a long distance train from Dallas, Fort Worth to Meridian. I've I've been on a train once in my life. It was a very, very cool experience. So the route will give train access to millions of people from Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Southern Rail Commission Chairman Knox Ross shares more on when the trains will start to roll again.
Well, it just captures the spirit of the entire coast. You've got Mobile and New Orleans that compete with each other for who did Mardi Gras first, and I think us in Mississippi would say that the Mississippi coast has perfected it. So I think it's a good way to capture the spirit of the service and the spirit of the Mississippi coast.
So Ross says despite some minor delays in construction on the mobile platform, the timeline for completion is still expected to be this summer. And in Hinds County, residents over in Edwards will soon have a safe, reliable drinking water thanks to a new water treatment system that is being put in. So city and state leaders, along with residents, gathered for a groundbreaking ceremony. Mayor LaKendrick Caston says the town has dealt with numerous water issues due to old pipes and wells. Getting this new water treatment plant has been the goal for years for the city, starting with the previous administration. The Delta Regional Authority funded the $2.5 million system, and Mayor Caston says that this is a great step forward for the residents.
That means a lot for the citizens here because, we had this color tinted water in town at Elway. So now with this filtration system, they can filter water out and the residents and the business will have clean drinking water and it's reliable. It is for public health, economic growth, and citizen growth.
The mayor says at the latest, the water treatment system should be completed in December of 2026. And before we leave today, I want to tell you again what we started the show with, some very exciting news as far as cold cases go here in Mississippi. A nearly 4 decades old cold case has had an arrest made in it. The cold case was for Chandra May. Chandra May went missing back in 1986, nearly 4 decades ago, at 17 years old. She went missing when she left her job at McDonald's. Sadly, 3 weeks later, 3 weeks after her abduction, she was found, and it was on her 18th birthday, actually, that Chandra was found. And she was found deceased. An autopsy later revealed that Chandra had also been sexually assaulted. So a arrest was made this morning in that case. And I want to get a picture of Chandra pulled up for you guys real quick. Hold on one second. Here we go. She was a very beautiful young lady. But this is Chandra right here. She passed away back in 1986. That's when she was abducted and sadly lost her life. Like I said, an autopsy did later reveal that she had been sexually assaulted. Well, 4 decades later, an arrest finally was made in that case. And the man that was arrested for that was Reuben Weeks, 63-year-old Reuben Weeks. He was arrested in Madison County, I believe. But Wilson Stribling was there earlier. He was at the Scott County Sheriff's Office, and I want to play the video for you of Wilson earlier, giving you a little bit more details on this case and letting you know what happened this morning.
Say about 9:30 this morning, Scott County Sheriff Mike Lee led a caravan of law enforcement vehicles into an RV park in Madison County where Reuben Weeks had been living. Weeks is 63 and not in the best of health, but the sheriff says he had gone fishing just yesterday. Regardless, Weeks said he needed a wheelchair to get to the squad car. The sheriff put him in handcuffs and said he was being charged with the kidnapping, rape, and murder of 17-year-old Chandra May. It was way back in February of 1986 that she was abducted on her way home after working her shift at the McDonald's in Forest. 3 weeks later, on what would have been her 18th birthday, her body was found in a creek near Bolton. She was nude. Her body had been bound with tape. No one has ever been charged in her death until today. Reuben Weeks has been questioned before, in part because he confessed to doing nearly the same thing to a woman in Missouri back in 1991. He abducted the young clerk at the motel where he and his family were staying, raped her, and tied her up with tape. She survived, testified against him, and he was sent to prison for life until he was paroled and came back to Mississippi. Again, that was all after Chandra May's death. Sheriff Mike Lee says he's been determined to solve this case, and working with some retired investigators, his own team, and other agencies, he's confident they now have a strong case. There is still lots to come with this story, and after all these years, of course, 3 on Your Side will continue to follow it. But again, Reuben Weeks being held here at the Scott County Jail, charged in the death of Chandra May 39 years ago.
So again, the arrest has thankfully been made. Sheila Scott is asking, how old would he have been back then? So it looks like he would have been around the age of 24 back in 1986 when this happened. Of course, again, Chandra May, it's here on your screen. She was 17 years old, 3 weeks shy of being 18 when she was abducted and killed. Again, her body was found on her 18th birthday. It was found in a river there, or a creek there. She was nude when she was found, and a autopsy later revealed that she had been sexually assaulted. So again, Weeks, 63 years old now. He would have been around 24 at the time. Not sure exactly when his birthday. So in that age range of being 24 years old, but he was arrested today for her abduction and her murder. And as Wilson said, we are going to continue to follow this case through to the very end. So guys, that is going to be the it of a WLBT Plus today. I do appreciate all of you for tuning in. I will be back tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and our First Alert weather team will be here at 2:30 to give you a in-depth look at our forecast. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.